Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Tips and Tricks Weekly. We're talking to you from the cold climes of Nebraska. Stay tuned for today's show.
Hey, we're indoors now. It's late at night, so we can't really film out of doors. But we are here, we are in Lincoln. Hey look, there's some familiar faces back behind us here, our little stuffed animals. We have a bunch of the sort of Vegas-y stuff in the basket. We haven't actually unloaded that yet. Yeah, this is going to come out really late on Saturday because it's almost Sunday already, but figured I'd do a quick video here today. Getting settled in. I'm actually in a closet, pretty good sized closet, really good lighting up here, so I'm just doing this show from the closet today. Today on the show, I guess we'll give a little bit of an update on the move and where we're at with that. But also going to talk about some Vegas news because there's a lot of news things that have kind of come up over the last few weeks, and be interesting to see what's ahead for Las Vegas at the end of this year and coming into next year. Pretty much ensconced here in the new digs. Do have still a fair amount of stuff back in Kansas, so we're going to probably rent a U-Haul of some sort and head down there towards the end of the month and pick up the rest of that stuff. But most of the things that I need on a daily basis are here in Lincoln, which is where we are now. So one state closer to Nevada. They're right next to each other. But yeah, I'm getting a little tired of the trips back and forth. It's about a 3.5-4 hour drive from there to here, so it's a good half day's worth of work, I guess you'd say. I did get a chance to go visit my mom this week, so that was kind of cool. Caitlin came along for that, so they got to meet one another, and I think that went pretty well. So anyway, we'll try to be on schedule going forward with the shows, with our Tuesday and Thursday show. I'm still not entirely sure what my work schedule is going to look like, so depending upon that, we may make some adjustments to the timing of the individual shows. I haven't actually gone back to work yet, or gone to work yet at the new store, but was not terribly disappointed to take another weekend off before I did that. So, and it has been very cold here. I think it only got up into the mid-20s today, so, but I don't think it's been substantially warmer down south. So I did want to talk a little bit today about some of the news in Las Vegas. Wanted to start out with some of the big changes that are coming up that we've really been talking about for, in some cases, years, but certainly over the last 6 to 9 months, which seem pretty much on the verge of officially happening. Number one, the final sort of regulatory approval, I believe, is probably to take place sometime in December for the official Hard Rock takeover of the Mirage. Now, that simply means that it will be owned by the Hard Rock Hotel. It is my understanding from everything I've read that they retain the right to use the Mirage name, I think, for like 3 years, and I believe initially that is the plan. And an interesting thing kind of popped up with relation to the changes there and some of the construction there. Apparently there has been some concern on the part of Formula One race officials, and that race now is basically 1 year out. We'll come back to that here in a minute or so. And they would rather, in terms of a backdrop, not have a lot of construction activity as the course does actually pass in front of the Mirage. So that may rescue the volcano for a period of time. Of course, they could simply shut it down. But we're not likely to see, probably not likely to see any major renovations going on there over the next year or so. And we'll see what happens beyond that. It may, again, continue to be called the Mirage for a period of time until they can get everything changed over. Speaking of name changes, that process is definitely in place down at the old Bally's New Horseshoe. I know the signing for Bally's has come down. I don't believe we've seen any horseshoe signing going up, but there's definitely a process there. I know recently in the old steakhouse where the Sterling Buffet was, they've now opened up, I think it's Jack Binion's Steakhouse, which looks like a pretty good spot. So good to see some new developments there at what will be Horseshoe. And again, we're probably looking sometime after the first of the year to see that sort of officially christened as such. To my knowledge, it is still, if you go on the Caesars website, it is still Bally's. So if anyone has been on there more recently than I have and can correct me, please do. Along those lines, we continue to see mostly speculation with regard to the Tropicana, which in all likelihood will morph into Bally's if it morphs into anything at all. And that site continues to be one of the locations which has been proposed for a new baseball stadium, because just in the last few weeks, I know the commissioner of baseball, whose name at this point escapes me because nobody really much cares about baseball anymore. Congratulations to the Houston Astros, I guess. That is continuing to be circulated as a possible site for a new stadium, should that move take place. And it sounds like things are not going well in Oakland, so it's very possible that the Athletics will in fact move to Las Vegas, and that would provide 3 out of the 4 major sports, I guess, unless you consider soccer a major sport. I guess you can if you'd like. So that's still in the mix as far as that goes. I know there's been some changes at Tropicana. The casino was down for a while, and I really don't know what they've done with it. They definitely need to do something with it because it is not a particularly impressive place as is. A hotel property which is an impressive place as is the Cosmopolitan. It is slowly morphing into a full-on MGM property. As my good friend Ace of Vegas would remind us, I don't believe you can find any Cosmopolitan rewards on the My Vegas app yet. And to my knowledge, the slot clubs have not yet merged, but again, you should expect to see some progress on that after the first of the year. As far as other changes to Strip hotel properties, it was revealed, I guess, a few weeks back that the possible sale of Flamingo from the Caesars portfolio to someone apparently is not very likely to happen. That had been reported, I don't know, probably 6 months or so ago, that was very likely the property they would try to move, as they have been. We have been speculating that they would unload at least one property out of their Strip portfolio sometime in the near future, but apparently at this point it will not be Flamingo. Perhaps there simply were not offers in place which were deemed good enough, and so they pulled back on that as well. It did seem an odd choice just because of its location right in the center of that run of properties. So we'll see what happens there. Getting back to the Las Vegas sports scene, we talked about a possible move of the baseball team. We talked about the Formula One race, which looks like it's going to be quite a spectacular. If you're planning on attending, you might want to find a tent in a nearby national park, as there have been some absolutely ridiculous hotel rates that have been quoted for that week in November, or that weekend in November. It seems it might actually be easier to simply buy a car and enter it into the race. The latest thing that I have seen is that they're planning to build grandstands over part of the Lake Bellagio area. And I would expect you would see kind of similar sort of seating setups all along the race route. I will not be there. I will not be paying those prices or participating in that, but certainly will look forward to seeing that race on television. It should have a spectacular backdrop, and so we'll keep our eyes on the Formula One thing going forward and keep you informed as best we can. The remaining sport, which apparently is not yet set for Las Vegas, would be NBA basketball. And by all accounts, if the NBA does choose to expand to 32 teams, those teams would reside in Seattle and Las Vegas. So that would complete the not trifecta, the quadfecta. I don't know what that's really called, of teams. So far, it has been a mixed fall for Las Vegas sports franchises. The Raiders have found a way to fumble away or lose 3 or 4 games late that they probably should have won. Their season is basically over. On the other hand, the Golden Knights have started out streaking, trying, I guess, to become the second Las Vegas franchise to win a championship. And of course, we congratulate the Las Vegas Aces in the WNBA on winning that title back in September. We never really talked about it. So speculation actually has been that if there is an NBA team, that the one and only Mr. LeBron James might be very interested in being part of that ownership group. Wanted to go downtown and talk about some changes there with some of the slot clubs. And traditionally downtown has been one of those places where you go downtown, if you're going to play, you got to get like 15 different slot cards. Well, that is slowly but surely changing over time. Of course, you always had the Boyd Be Connected properties there together, Main Street, Cal, and Fremont. And then with the recent opening, fairly recent opening of Circa, the Derek Stevens properties are all under one card auspices, the One Card, which works at the D, Golden Gate, and Circa. And now a change which is probably long overdue, given the fact that they come under the same ownership group. Four Queens and Binions are combining their slot club cards. I don't think it's officially done yet, but it is very close. And again, certainly after the first of the year, you'll be able to play at either location and redeem your slot club benefits at the other, which seems like probably a good move. I think most of us who had an opportunity to stay at the Hotel Apache are not necessarily eager to return. So if you enjoyed gambling at Binions, you might have an opportunity to either have a meal or perhaps stay at the Four Queens. On that count, that only leaves, I believe, 4 properties downtown, which are independent, singular properties: the Plaza, Golden Nugget, the Downtown Grand, and El Cortez. If I missed somebody, let me know. But I, for one, kind of like these changes because, as I've mentioned on numerous occasions, my trips to downtown always seem a bit disappointing, certainly in terms of comps, because I just go from place to place. But on recent trips, I know I've gone to like the D, and then I've gone to Circa and Golden Gate. So at least I've sort of combined my play at those properties. So it's nice to be able to do the same at Four Queens and Binions, and we'll see what happens there. But so anyway, I guess we're going to more or less wrap this thing up today. Probably a little bit shorter than usual, but did want to get back and put out some sort of content today, so y'all realize I was still alive and more or less well, if a little tired. Interesting to speculate on what we might see in Las Vegas next week. We'll probably talk about that in our year-end live stream, which is probably still a good 6 weeks away. I don't know if we'll do a November live or not, but maybe. So yeah, any of you with any thoughts on the news in Las Vegas, any additional insights I may have missed, since I've been not necessarily focused on Las Vegas so much lately these past few weeks. All right, certainly welcome your comments below. Again, my apologies for the late arrival of today's video. I wasn't even sure we were going to get one done, but here you go. And we'll be back next week with another episode of Vegas Tips and Tricks Weekly. Until then, I hope you all have a great, lucky, and healthy week. We'll see y'all again real soon. Bye-bye.